Jon Jones just stated in an interview while intoxicated, so you know he meant it, that he could care less about fighting.
I could really care less about fighting.
Now, for all the grammatically challenged individuals out there, when someone says, I could care less, that means that they actually do care. Because if they could care less, that means that there's still an amount of care that could go down to an even lesser state. Someone who really doesn't care would say, I couldn't care less, because they're completely maxed out. And Jon Jones didn't say that. Jon Jones still cares about fighting. Jon Jones just made an appearance on the Full Send infomercial. It used to be a podcast back in the day, but now they just chop it up a little between advertisements. And I feel like I'm the only one that noticed that Jon Jones alluded to some health concerns. Jon Jones made the claim that fighting is in his blood. Now, how could he possibly know that? Unless he was having some blood work done. The only other thing I could think of,
I think I'm a little bit of a vampire.
I'm gonna leave that one alone, because vampires are a protected class on YouTube. So I'm gonna stick with my original narrative. Sickness. Jones was talking about his blood.
Fighting's in my blood.
He was talking about this itchiness that he's been dealing with.
When the itch comes back, and if it comes back.
He was even talking about his heart.
My whole heart.
And he's starting to have doubts about his physical capabilities because of these health issues.
I'll do it to the best of my abilities.
And his situation's making him a little bit sentimental and confused.
See the way people look at me and the way I make people feel. And it's an extraordinary thing. It's a true blessing.
He seems to think that people like him. And the dude that he was talking to felt like he was doing something when he brought up the petition.
Do you see something online? There's like 150,000 petitions. Jon Jones vacates the title.
Because he was trying to remind Jones that people don't like him. And even though people don't like him, that was a terrible example. Because by now, everybody knows who's responsible for creating that petition. Tomas Aspinall. I looked at the list, and all the names on there are from people who have been dead for years. And Daniel Comer. Supposedly, Aspinall went to university for computer programming, and he knew exactly how to code a petition. And then he goes and declares himself the heavyweight champion. Like if that's how it works.
You know, I'm the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world.
I've always been a piece of broccoli.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's like when Michael Scott declared bankruptcy.
I declare bankruptcy!
Aspinall should just be quiet and be thankful. Jon Jones has basically handed Aspinall a UFC record. Aspinall now holds the UFC record for the longest interim champion. And that's the only record he's gonna get. Years from now, like 2 years from now, when Tom Aspinall is Tom Hasbinall, he's gonna think of this record fondly. He needs to realize his place in all of this. He needs Jon. Jon doesn't need him. The only reason Aspinall's even getting this kind of support is because of all the Scousers that are dying for a victory. They haven't had a win since the Beatles. He's not the money fight. We know who the money fight is. We've seen the subliminal messaging. It's the dude that was all flamed up in the UFC gear. I know what you're thinking. Forget the UFC gear. That fool's probably on that TRT gear. Chale. Francis Ngannou is so natural, they sell his merch at Whole Foods. I don't know if you knew this, but Francis Ngannou is so natural, he's often referred to as Francis Ngannou, which has caused a rift in his relationship with Israel Adesanya. But they don't really run in the same circles anymore anyway, since Adesanya got moved to the prelim schedule. In case some of you have never watched professional wrestling or a well-written play, This whole thing is coming along beautifully. Let me break it down for you. Dana White wants Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou to fight. And if it has to be a co-promotion event, then so be it. It's not like it's the first time that Dana's getting that strange. You already know that Dana White final form. Dana Green. It's all about the money. I know what you're thinking. What about that Dana White pride and stubbornness? He hates Ngannou. Ngannou doesn't exist to Dana. He's just a conduit for more money. He's a means to an end. Dana White has no shame. It doesn't matter what he said in the past or how it makes him look now. It doesn't have to make any sense, but it does have to make dollars. You see, Dana White did the math. And when he was calculating the potential earnings from Jones fighting Tom Aspinall, he was counting dollars instead of pounds. When he went back to correct it, there was quite a weight cut. And although Dana usually supports weight cutting, this time was different. It makes the most sense and the most dollars for the two greatest heavyweight vacators of all time to square up. Two dudes that didn't even care, willing to leave it all behind. I'm talking vacator on vacator violence, and Tom Aspinall's down with it, and he's good at playing the part. He knows that it makes him look better if he beats the winner of these two. He wouldn't beat them, but I'm speaking hypothetically. If Aspinall fought Jon Jones and he beat him, then people would say, well, you didn't beat Ngannou. But in this scenario, he gets to kill two birds with one Dana. This is the best case scenario for everyone involved. Everyone except for Phil DeFries. I know what you're thinking. Who's Phil DeFries? Phil DeFries is what I told the lady at McDonald's when she tried to rip me off. But apparently Phil DeFries is also a fighter that believes he should be Ngannou's next fight. I've already talked about him too much. The only other person that seems to have a problem with any of this is Matt Brown. Most of you probably know who Matt Brown is, but in case you don't, he's that fool that said he wanted to fight Snoop Dogg.
If I go to the UFC PI, I might just punch him if I see him there.
Whoa.
I'm cool with that.
Look out, Snoop.
Matt Brown says that MMA fans don't care about Ngannou anymore. That Ngannou basically ruined his whole legacy and that people don't even remember who he is anymore because he lost 2 boxing matches. That's like saying that Khabib could ruin his legacy by playing soccer. They're completely different sports. By the way, I'd rather be forgotten for losing 2 boxing matches than be remembered for having an almost 50-50 record. I'm telling you, everything is going according to plan. Dana White, Jon Jones, Francis Ngannou, and Tom Aspinall are probably at a Dave & Buster's as we speak, working out all the details. Everyone is clowning on Jon Jones, and he admitted that he's the fall guy, taking all the hate, while Dana White gets all his little ducks in a row. I think Jones got a little too pedo and let some stuff spill out.
I'm a company guy, you know. There's a lot of things that's happening behind the scenes. My job is just sit and be still and take the punishment. Dana gets things done, you know, and I think business speaks before emotions. Francis presented himself in a humble way, and I think that he could very easily be back in the UFC.
He kind of sounded like Sage Van Zandt when she was sealing her settlement from Dana White after her neck injury.
So it actually didn't come from training. It is a 1 in a million freak, crazy injury that happened in my neck. The Power Stop team has been super helpful. Everybody at the UFC, they've been so helpful in getting my scans and stuff reviewed. Unfortunate freak thing.
I don't know how everyone who watched this video took it to believe that Jones is running and doesn't want to fight and will not fight again. And they're making videos about it for thousands and millions and hundreds of people to see. The blind leading the blind. My flow goes deep like the ocean. It burns so hard, grab the lotion. I might hit the 3-wheel motion, cause I'm sipping on this green tea potion.